I'd like to know, if elected, would you bring back the independent oversight of the BC Utilities Commission over projects like Site C Dam?
Thank you. Adam, you're next.
Yes, I would.
What I would do is I'd confront all of you, and if that's something that our whole constituent would want, then I definitely would.
Gary?
No, that's an excellent, that's one of the most important issues in British Columbia right now. Another reason to change government. As an economist, I am particularly affronted by the fact that billions of dollars of independent power projects, the so-called smart meters, the $8 billion Site C Dam, all precluded from review by the Utilities Commission. Ratepayers in British Columbia, over the life of those independent private power contracts, are going to be overpaying billions of dollars because of lack of oversight from the Utilities Commission. We're committed as a government to restoring that.
Stephen.
Thanks for your question. My personal perspective is that we should not be afraid ever of independent oversight of our actions. Whether it's an Auditor General, whether it's the Utilities Commission, we should actually have that. And so I'm absolutely in favor.
Thank you. Question over here.
Judith Boel. We all know that a lot of work in government goes on in committee, all right? Given your particular skill sets and experience, if you could choose what committees you were going to work on, what committee would you just love to work on? That's a 5-second answer.
Thank you. Scott.
Finance.
All right. Gary.
Environment.
I'm interested in the Agricultural Committee because we need to build our agribusiness in British Columbia and produce more food in this province.
I'm actually gonna answer this. What I'll say is that neither the Liberals haven't used. They've shut down the committee structure, so we haven't heard anything about it from the opposition. They haven't minded that we haven't been in committee actually having discussions and getting information from people. The committee that I would like to be a part of, and the one that I'm most qualified for, would be the one from Aboriginal Affairs, because it hasn't done anything significant in the last 10 years, if you can believe it. Billions of dollars later on treaty negotiations, 10 years since the last standing order came from Aboriginal Affairs.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Patrick Owen. I'm in the 10th grade here at GISS. Once I graduate, I plan to start a small business. My question is this: if elected, what will your party do to help start up small businesses, get off the ground, and support established small businesses?
Thank you. Gary.
I think the NDP platform looks more at the underlying factors that determine businesses getting started. So the freezing of BC Ferries fares and the revitalization of that service for Salt Spring and the Outer Gulf Islands is really important to setting that context. Agriculture will be doing some things to support local food production, including requiring local hospitals to purchase at least a part of their food from local services. Will be reinvigorating Destination BC to promote tourism.
Stephen.
Thanks for your question, Patrick. Small business is the main engine of economic growth in British Columbia. That's where most of our jobs come from. It behooves all of us to be very supportive of it. Simpler taxation policy is important, easier for you to execute and get involved. Support through advisory parts of different ministries, depending on which field you're in, to help you with setting up your business, to help you with the latest technology in those businesses. These things are all part of supporting our local businessmen, helping them identify solutions and helping them identify markets for their goods, something else that we can do. So we'd be right there with you as a BC Liberal government.
Thank you. Adam.
I agree with Stephen that most of the people actually in this province work in small business. In fact, the exception is big business. So everybody else works in small business. The small business is not exceptional. What I would say is that I'd work with local governments. It's not going to be the provincial government that does it, it's local governments. And this is what my colleagues from the Liberals and definitely the NDP don't get. And that is when I approached them and said, how are you going to invest in communities that are now charging commercial and industrial tax rates at seven times what a resident pays? That's what's helping shut businesses down.
Thank you.
Patrick, I'm already proud of you that you already have a goal in grade 10. I think that's wonderful. And small business is definitely the way to go. What I would do is I would go back to the teachers and have the teachers start planning you forward. So that way then when you get to grade 12 and you get past grade 12, you're already set ready to go. You don't have to worry about everything else, and you certainly don't have to worry about the government. You're already ready. Good job.
Thank you.
In spite of the doublespeak I just heard, a lot of people were not given a choice to keep their analog meter. And in spite of what was said here very nicely by you, Adam, the policy statement with the Green Party states that they support the wired smart meter, whereas a lot of people want back their analog meter that was taken in spite of the fact they had a sign up saying they did not want it taken, and in spite of the fact they've already refused the courts.
Would you ask the question, please?
There's a family right now with their power turned off by BC Hydro because they're trying to get back an analog meter. Would you guys know about that? And what is your opinion of people not just getting back wired meters, but their actual analog meter? Yes or no?
Thank you. Stephen, you first.
I don't know about the family you're talking about, but if you give me their name, we'll get somebody from the ministry or from BC Hydro to get their power back on, because the policy is that you can refuse one.
Thank you.
In terms of having an analog meter come back, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think that there is, the biggest issue with this is not the digital reader part of them. It is and I guess, sorry, that's not entirely true because there are some security issues. The Wi-Fi is one part of it, the security issues are another. So, like I said before, I think people should have a full range of options, and analog could possibly be one of them. And so, yes, I mean, I think that we should have a full range of options.
Scott.
Ma'am, I agree with Stephen. I don't know who these family are. If that hydro is off and there is an analog meter on that building, I will go through walls to get that back on. That is unacceptable in the province of British Columbia.
Thank you.
I'm not aware of a particular family, but no family, no household should be suffering. While, as I said, the NDP will be directing the Utilities Commission to provide options on opt-out provisions. In the meantime, that's the role of an MLA, to advocate for families in circumstances like that, and no one should be going through any kind of hardship while we're investigating the possibility of opt-out options.
Thank you. Okay. Would you like to ask a question?
Hi, my name is Laura Shack, and I would like to know what each of the candidates would do about the HST, and if they are going to abolish the PST, then what tax would replace it?
Thank you, Marsha. Adam.
Well, thank you for the question. The HST has cost our province an awful lot of pain. We were, first of all, it said that we weren't going to go to the HST, then it was dropped on us and we went to the HST. Now it was made intensely political and we had to get rid of the HST. Now we're back to the PST. I don't see us going back to the HST. Now what I can say is that as a small business owner that started a business in that, the HST was a lot simpler for us. And value-added taxes are good taxes.
Thank you.
But unfortunately it was political, and that's a problem.
The sad part about this thing, the sad part about the HST was how it was implemented. It had nothing to do with anything else. And should we have kept it? Absolutely. However, we've reversed back, and the sad part about it is it's cost us billions. And what they're not talking about is how much did it cost us to re-rent the building, buy all the equipment, restaff all the staff, everything else that has gone on. It's really sad. And that's what happens when these big governments, and they don't listen to the people.
Thank you. Gary.
Marsha, thanks for the question. We are going back to the PST system, and I think your question points to the need for political parties, for candidates to be very clear about what they're going to do before the election and not say one thing and do another after the election. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Marcia, again for your question. I absolutely agree. The HST was terrible implementation. It's the right tax, but it was done badly. We've had one premier resign over it, and we've had a referendum on it, and the people spoke and they asked us to bring it back. The whole process was flawed. One of the reasons I got involved in politics was I hate to see good policy be ruined by bad implementation from people who aren't thinking about it. The HST is a tax that would benefit the province, it would benefit businessmen and business people here, as well as individuals, and we should probably go back to it, but that doesn't look like that's on the cards in the future.
Thank you.
You're right to bring it up. Thanks.
Thank you. Question over here.
My name is Paul Leslie.
Can you step up a bit?
My name is Paul Leslie. I am a grade 10 student at GIS. And around the world, there have been many ambitious scientific projects for clean energy and affordable energy. Their entire cities run through solar power. And I'm wondering here today what your ambitions regarding this are.
Thank you, John. Scott.
I haven't put a lot of thought into that. And I guess, because it's not part of my expertise, what I would do is I'd go back to the people, and if it's something that if you yourself would want to look into, I would give you all the information that I can help you with to get all the information to make things better for all of us.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks for the question. We do need to be encouraging renewable energy. As an economist, I've done work in this area. The thing to remember is that while it's not quite as sexy as renewable energy, conservation measures are usually the best investment that you can make, and that's why it's such a tragedy. The $1 billion smart meter program, if we had invested that in energy conservation, the returns on that per unit of energy are usually higher. And the BC Utilities Commission review is important because we want to make sure if we're bringing on new technologies,
Thanks,
they're
Gary.
cost competitive.
Steve.
Thank you, Colin. As you know, here in British Columbia, solar energy is not always an option for us, particularly through the long winter months. However, 93% of the energy in British Columbia is generated through clean or renewable resources. We have been investing in wind power, we have been investing in hydroelectric power, we have been investing in solar and geothermal. We can do more of that. 93% is pretty good. We want to keep going in that direction, probably make it 100% if we can, but great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam.
Yes, conservation is very important. We often forget that the order, the hierarchy that reduce, reuse, recycle is in, and we just jump straight to the recycle. But reduction is absolutely the first thing. I think we need to seriously look at geothermal in this province. I don't think that we've invested enough in in looking at geothermal. We're right on we've got fault lines all over this province, and that is something that I think that we could power. I think that expanding the carbon tax and investing that money into that research and development is the way that we're going to do it.
Thank you. Norbert.
Norbert Schlenker. My question is about the governance study that's going on Salt Spring right now. Gary Holman in particular has been vociferously against self-government on Salt Spring for 10 years, even going so far as to call ISG Islanders for selfish government in the paper and in conversations. I think that's unacceptable to insult large portions of the community that way.
10 seconds to ask the question.
And I'd like to know, if elected, all of you, if elected, will you support the results of the governance study and any follow-up with the new government?
Thank you. Gary.
Thanks, Norbert, I think. As when I ran last as CRD director, I did support an option study for governance, and I will as an MLA. The role of an MLA is to ensure that the community gets objective, comprehensive information. I will not be taking a position on it. The reason I objected at times to ISG's intervention in the issue is that I believe the information they were providing was distorted and aimed at achieving incorporation and didn't necessarily have the best interests of the community at heart.
Thank you.
I think each of the gentlemen at the table here has the best interests of the community at heart, as do most of the people who will be involved in the study. We have a study underway now. Once we get the results of that, we should look seriously at acting on the implementation of it. This community has relied on Two Islands trustees to do the work of a municipality for many people. We're the largest unincorporated community in British Columbia with 10,000 citizens. Is it reasonable to expect two trustees to do all the work of a municipality? We have to look at what's best for this community, and we have to look at it independently and fairly.
Thank you.
It looks like incorporation might be that way.
Okay, Adam.
The only vested interest that I have in this discussion is that your community is serving you the way it needs to, in the most efficient way that it possibly can, for the least amount of money that you can spend on it. I do not have a position on this other than to hear what, I'm going to take Scott's line. I'm going to listen to the people on this one, and I am going to work really hard on your behalf to make sure that this is the best kind of government that you can get. I'm very familiar with local government.
Thank you.
I'm like Adam, I don't know a whole lot about this particular situation. I keep going back to that, don't I? But I did a little bit of reading on it, and I think there's a lot of questions still need to be answered before anybody makes any judgment whatsoever, one way or the other. So I take my hats off to all you people. I know you're working on it, and I continue, and please do continue. And if you need more funding, if I'm elected, then I would make sure that more funding would come so that we can get the right and proper answer for you.
Thank you. Over here, please.
My name is Ruth Tash.